The smell of sizzling ribs filled the air as I stood by my grill, flipping burgers and basting chicken wings. The sun was shining, the music was playing, and my backyard was alive with laughter and chatter. My annual barbecue was in full swing, and my friends and family were having the time of their lives. That was until she showed up. Karen, the self-appointed queen of our HOA. The woman whose life mission was to suck the joy out of the neighborhood one rule at a time. I spotted her marching down the sidewalk, clutching her clipboard like it was the Constitution. Her expression was a mixture of horror and disgust as she took in the scene, people enjoying themselves without her permission. She stomped up to me, her heels sinking slightly into the grass. "Do you have a permit for this?" she demanded, crossing her arms. I raised an eyebrow. "A permit? To have a few friends over and grill some food?" She scoffed. "This is a large gathering, and according to HOA regulations, any event with more than 10 people requires prior approval. Not to mention, open flames are a violation of community safety guidelines." I stared at her for a moment, then gestured at my grill. "Karen, this is a barbecue, not a rock concert. And it's in my backyard." "Rules are rules," she snapped, waving a paper in my face. "You are in violation, and I am issuing you a $500 fine. If you do not pay within 7 days, further action will be taken." I took the fine and read it. It had the official HOA seal, her signature, and get this, a photo she must have taken of my barbecue from behind the bushes. This woman was truly something else. "Karen, you do realize it's literally the 4th of July weekend, right? People are grilling all over town." "Not in my neighborhood," she said smugly, turning on her heel. "Enjoy your meal. It'll be an expensive one." I watched as she strutted off, feeling my blood boil. She had gone too far this time. Fining me for having a barbecue? I wasn't just going to pay the fine and move on. Oh no. If Karen had a problem with cookouts, then I was going to give her one she'd never forget. A slow grin spread across my face as an idea began to form. If she thought this barbecue was bad, just wait until she saw what I had planned next. I pulled out my phone and started making calls. It was time to take things to the next level. The biggest cookout this town had ever seen was about to happen. If Karen had a problem with my small backyard barbecue, then she was about to have a full-blown meltdown. I spent the next few days making calls, pulling strings, and reaching out to everyone I knew. My goal? To turn my little cookout into the biggest, most outrageous barbecue this town had ever seen. First, I contacted my buddy, Javier, who owned the most popular barbecue restaurant in town. "Dude," I said, "how would you like some free advertising and a chance to serve a few hundred people?" "A few hundred?" he asked. "What are you planning?" "Oh, just a friendly neighborhood gathering. The kind that'll make the HOA lose their minds." Javier laughed. "I'm in." Next, I called up my cousin, Marcus, who ran a party rental business. He had tents, tables, chairs, speakers, everything I needed to turn this into an event. "You want a bounce house too?" he joked. I grinned. "Hell yes. Two, actually. Maybe even a mechanical bull." By the time the weekend rolled around, the word had spread. Everyone wanted in. People from other neighborhoods, my coworkers, even local businesses who wanted to set up food stands. It was growing way bigger than I'd expected. But the best part? I had secured a location that Karen couldn't touch. See, I knew my backyard wouldn't be enough, and I wasn't about to give Karen the satisfaction of shutting me down again. So, I worked out a deal with the owner of a massive empty lot right outside our neighborhood. It was private property, outside of the HOA's control. Checkmate, Karen. By noon, the lot was packed. Grills were sizzling, music was bumping, and people were having the time of their lives. Javier's barbecue truck had a line wrapped around it. Marcus had set up the biggest party tent I'd ever seen, and kids were jumping in bounce houses while their parents enjoyed brisket and ribs. And, just as I predicted, Karen was losing her mind. She showed up at the edge of the lot, her face a deep shade of red, furiously typing on her phone. She stormed up to me, practically foaming at the mouth. "What the hell is this?" she shrieked. I took a slow sip of my drink. "A community cookout. You know, since you shut mine down." Her eyes darted around, probably looking for some kind of violation she could find me for. This is unauthorized. The HOA did not approve this." I grinned. "Oh, Karen, you see, this isn't in the neighborhood. This is private property. Your HOA rules? They don't apply here." She opened her mouth, then closed it, looking like a fish out of water. You can't just." "Oh, but I can," I interrupted. "And you know what? Since I had to pay a $500 fine, I decided to put that money into throwing a cookout big enough for the whole town." Just then, a loud police siren wailed from down the street. Karen's lips curled into a smug smirk. "Huh, I called the cops on you. Let's see how this little cookout of yours continues once the police shut it down." I didn't even flinch. "Oh, you mean those cops?" I pointed toward the officers stepping out of their squad car, both holding plates of ribs and smiling. Karen's smirk vanished. "What?" I clapped a hand on her shoulder. "Yeah, the police chief is here too. Turns out, he loves barbecue." Karen let out an angry screech, but she was completely powerless. I had outplayed her at every turn. But I wasn't done yet. Oh no. The best part was still to come. Karen was fuming. Her arms were stiff at her sides, her lips were twitching, and I could practically see steam coming out of her ears. The fact that the police were enjoying the cookout instead of shutting it down had thrown her into full meltdown mode. But I wasn't finished. I leaned in, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Karen, you should try the brisket. Javier really outdid himself." This isn't over," she spat. "You might have gotten away with this, but I'm going straight to the HOA board. There will be consequences." That's when I dropped the bombshell. "Oh, you mean the board meeting happening right now?" Karen blinked. "What?" I pulled out my phone and showed her a live stream of the HOA board members sitting at a long table at the cookout. "You see, Karen," I continued, "when word got around that you were abusing your power and fining people over personal grudges, some of the board members got curious. So I invited them, and wouldn't you know it? Turns out, they're not too happy with you." Her face paled as she watched the HOA president, an older man named Frank, holding a plate of ribs while addressing the camera. "We've received numerous complaints about excessive fines, unfair enforcement of rules, and abuse of power," he said. "After reviewing the evidence, including some very concerning emails and messages from Ms. Karen here, we've decided to hold an emergency meeting. Effective immediately, Karen's position as HOA enforcer is under review." Karen's mouth dropped open. "No. No, no, no. This is a setup. You can't." "Oh, but they can," I said, grinning. "And it gets even better." I turned the phone to the giant projector screen I had set up next to the main tent. The entire cookout could now see the HOA board meeting happening in real time. The crowd started murmuring, and then someone yelled, "Hey Karen, you're fired." Laughter and cheers erupted. Karen was now publicly humiliated in front of hundreds of people. But I wasn't done yet. Karen, still reeling, was furiously typing on her phone, probably trying to send another round of HOA violations. But that's when my cousin Marcus walked up. He was holding a legal document. "Hey, Karen," he said. "Quick question, who owns this empty lot?" She scowled at him. "What does that have to do with anything?" I smirked. "Because, as of yesterday, Marcus bought it." Karen froze. You bought the lot?" Marcus grinned. "Yup. So now, this land is part of our community. And since I'm the landowner, I can propose an amendment to the HOA rules." Karen's face drained of color as she realized what was happening. I raised my drink. "I'd like to formally propose a new rule, mandatory annual community cookouts." The crowd erupted in cheers. Karen? She let out a strangled scream and stormed off, completely defeated. Karen stormed off after her humiliating defeat, but something told me she wasn't done yet. She was too petty to just accept her loss. And I was right. The next morning, I woke up to find a bright red notice taped to my front door. Urgent. HOA violation, immediate action required. I groaned, ripping it off. What now? I scanned the paper and nearly burst out laughing. Karen, despite being stripped of her enforcement power, had still filed a formal complaint against me, claiming I had illegally hosted a public event without proper zoning permits. She even had the audacity to demand a $5,000 fine. Well, she's really desperate, I muttered. But she had made a fatal mistake because now, she wasn't just messing with me. She was messing with the entire town. And the town was ready for revenge. Word spread fast. By noon, Karen's little stunt had backfired spectacularly. Local news picked up the story. Someone had tipped off a reporter, and suddenly, a news van was parked outside my house, covering the petty HOA war over a harmless barbecue. The mayor got involved. Apparently, he was a huge barbecue fan and had heard about our event. He even tweeted, "Finding a man for hosting a cookout? That's un-American. Someone save me a plate next year." Karen's house became a tourist attraction. People started driving by just to take pictures of the woman who tried to ban BBQs. Someone even set up a Karen Cam A live stream capturing her peeking through her curtains in pure rage. But the best part? The HOA board officially dismissed Karen's complaint. I got an email from HOA President Frank. "We regret to inform you that Karen's claim has been deemed frivolous and retaliatory. As a result, we are moving forward with a full investigation into her conduct. Thank you for your patience." Oh, Karen was finished. But just when I thought it couldn't get any better, it did. That evening, as I was sipping a beer on my porch, I heard shouting from Karen's house. Curious, I walked over just in time to see HOA board members standing at her front door holding folders full of paperwork. And Karen? She was losing it. "You can't do this," she screeched. "I am the HOA." "No, Karen," Frank said calmly. "You were the HOA. Now you're just a disgruntled neighbor." Turns out, her history of abuse, excessive fines, and illegal fees had finally caught up with her. The board was voting to kick her off permanently. And the best part? She had to pay back all the unfair fines she'd issued over the years. That's right. Every dollar she had taken from the neighborhood was now coming out of her own pocket. Karen stood there, shaking, her face going from red to pale in an instant. "You can't do this," she whispered. Frank handed her the paperwork. "Consider this our fine to you." The entire neighborhood erupted in applause. Karen had finally been dethroned. Karen had been publicly humiliated, stripped of her HOA power, and hit with thousands of dollars in fines. But knowing her, she wasn't going to take it gracefully. And I was right. For the next few days, she sulked in her house, barely stepping outside except to glare at me from her window. Her yard, once the most obsessively maintained property in the neighborhood, was now an overgrown mess. But I wasn't done with her just yet. I had one final surprise planned. With Karen powerless, I went straight to the HOA board with a new proposal. An annual neighborhood barbecue festival. Not just a cookout, a full-blown, city-approved festival with food trucks, live music, and sponsors. Frank, the HOA president, loved the idea. Not only is this good for the community, but it also erases the ridiculous barbecue ban Karen tried to enforce. With a unanimous vote, it was official. And the best part? The festival's first year was going to be held right in front of Karen's house. The day of the festival arrived, and it was even bigger than my first cookout. We had a full-blown concert stage, a row of food trucks, a barbecue contest with local pitmasters, and even a dunk tank featuring a mannequin of Karen wearing an HOA sash. People came from all over town. The mayor showed up. The local news covered it. Even the fire department stopped by not to shut us down, but to judge the barbecue contest. And Karen? She was trapped in her house, forced to listen to the sound of sizzling meat and cheering crowds all day. At one point, she stormed outside, screaming, "You can't do this. This is harassment." Someone in the crowd yelled back, "Not Karen, this is just good old community fun." She tried to call the police again. But when they arrived, they just smiled and said, "Looks like a great event. Hope you got a plate, ma'am." That was it. That was Karen's breaking point. Her face twisted in rage, and she let out a primal scream before storming back inside. 2 weeks later, a moving truck showed up in front of Karen's house. That's right, she was leaving. Whether it was because of the HOA fines, the loss of power, or the fact that she could never escape the smell of barbecue and the arrogant Karen was officially gone. The neighborhood threw one last party to celebrate. And me? I stood on my porch, flipping burgers on my grill, watching as Karen's car disappeared down the street for the last time. I took a deep breath, letting the smell of smoked brisket fill the air, and smiled. Victory never tasted so good. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.